so grateful to God because He did it. To graduate in 3 years, it's not easy, but it's our Jesus. Yes.
Imagine a world full of love that pours down like the streams of the living water. Cannot live without it, but can go a few days without it. Imagine a world full of free souls that rejoices like the morning sunshine. No hate, no jealousy, no depression, just us so deeply in love with our flaws. Imagine a world where we appreciate every extra meat in those right places with no regret.
Yo, talk too fast to record. Talk too fast to record. Yeah, talk too fast.
Yeah, I told my dad not to call me. I straight up said I don't work.
For you, this is a proud moment. But it is also a proud moment for your parents and guardians, your brothers and sisters, your teachers, your friends, and numerous other of your supporters. To accomplish this goal, there is no doubt that you have done the heavy lifting. But further, as you have climbed this mountain, you have received the assistance and encouragement of all those I have just mentioned. You have stood on the shoulders of giants. And so now, I would ask all graduates to stand and turn and face those who are here to support them and give a sincere and heartfelt round of applause to those who are here today to share in your achievement and have helped you along the way. Okay, let's hear it. Chilled. For at least a little while, or at least until your parents' money and or patience runs out. And of course at this time, that decision is essentially up to you. Whatever you choose, the Calgary Public School Board wishes you nothing but success. For the most part, as a graduate of Forest Lawn, that success is almost guaranteed. To quote an expression generally applied to athletes, you have all the tools. Not only are your academic qualifications top-notch, you also carry within you the benefits of an intangible that you share with every public school graduate in the city of Calgary. We live in a world with an ever-increasing acceptance and celebration of diversity. Certainly, this acceptance and celebration has faced challenges in the past and will continue to do so for the foreseeable future. Nonetheless, I believe, as an optimist, progress is inevitable. Forest Lawn, as a public high school, has had and will continue to have an open door policy to all students. No matter what your race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or financial situation, if you want to learn, you can learn here. Forest Lawn is open to all. Forest Lawn accepts the best every parent has to offer. For Forest Lawn believes, as does Canada and most Canadians, that diversity does not make us weaker. Forest Lawn students know that after working together, playing together, and cooperating together with fellow students with diverse customs, beliefs, and backgrounds, that diversity makes us stronger. And so, as you leave Forest Lawn, you can literally hit the ground running. There will be no need for a lengthy period of adjustment to soften or change attitudes as you meet new, different, and exciting people. You will be open immediately to their ideas based on the validity and strength of those ideas, rather than differences based on the irrational and discriminatory judgments and biases of present-day reactionary nabobs of negativity. This is the intangible gift you have been given as a public school graduate. In closing, I would be remiss in not saying you will face challenges. But I have every confidence you will meet them head on, and at least for the most part, overcome them. You will overcome them with the assistance of the skills and knowledge you have obtained through your years of schooling, but also the values and principles you have seen modeled and exhibited by your classmates and teachers in Calgary Public. Nevertheless, you will be challenged in making these decisions until the day you die. To exemplify this, I would like to relate an old First Nations legend which states one of the tribe's elders was talking to his grandson, and he said, "A fight is going on inside me. It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One wolf is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other wolf is good. He is joy, praise, love, hope, serenity, humility, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and trust. This same fight is going on inside you, inside me, and inside every other person in the world too." The grandson thought about it for a minute and then slowly asked, "Tell me, grandfather, which wolf will win?" The old grandfather did not hesitate and simply replied, "The wolf who will win is the one you feed." I am confident, as you go out into a new phase of your life, you will make every effort to feed your good wolf. Congratulations, and may the force be with you.
Thank you, Richard. I think the one students are most looking forward to, your elected staff member. I'd like to now introduce Mr. Bart Stoley. Mr. Stoley started his teaching career in 2006 at CBE Learn Online, a junior high school, teaching a variety of courses including phys ed online. Oh, it gets better. Online outdoor education, and even online baking. He began his work at Forest Lawn in 2010. While his background is in phys ed and sports medicine, he has spent the last 5 years teaching in our science department, primarily biology. If you haven't had him as a teacher, you may have seen him around the school, working out in the fitness center each day at lunch, shooing students to classes between bells, and making floral arrangements for special events like the graduation today. He is excited to share a few words of wisdom with you now. Please welcome Mr. Bart Stoley.
Congratulations, class of 2019. It's truly an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to speak to you today. As Mr. Fell mentioned, my name is Bart Stoley, and I'm one of the science teachers at Forest Lawn High School. For those of you who have ever been in one of my classes, you know that in addition to meandering through the lesson of the day, we often get sidetracked with random stories about my life, my experiences, and my family. And this speech will be no different. Graduation is a special day. It's a time to pause and reflect and celebrate on what you've accomplished, but also a time to turn the page and start a new chapter. When I look around, I know that each of you have taken a different path to get here. Some of you have lived in Canada for your entire lives, while others have only called this country home for a couple of years. The great diversity of our students' journeys truly hit home a few years ago, when some colleagues and I accompanied some students from Forest Lawn to the Calgary Bridge Foundation Youth Achievement Awards Gala. At this event, immigrant and refugee youth were recognized for their high school achievements. They were also given the opportunity to speak about the challenges and sacrifices of leaving their countries and establishing roots in Canada. Many of the students spoke of hardships related to war, political unrest, and being separated from loved ones. Despite these challenges, each student shared their personal story of overcoming many of these barriers. I was truly inspired by their courage and perseverance, and it put into perspective the magnitude of what they accomplished in order to complete high school. Whatever path you've taken to get here, or personal challenges you faced, graduating high school doesn't happen by accident. It's a culmination of a lot of hard work, many late nights, and a willingness to push yourself. Having 3 kids myself, I truly understand the concept that it takes a village to raise a child. I would encourage you to take some time over the next few weeks to thank the village that helped and supported you to this point. Maybe a parent with great advice, or a car you could borrow on the weekends, a grandparent, maybe a teacher that was able to push you beyond what you thought you were capable of. And when your parents, grandparents, or other family members get a little teary-eyed as they congratulate you and wish you well, go easy on them. Adam, my 4-year-old, has been busy getting ready for his preschool graduation. A few days ago, he was practicing a couple songs that his class will sing for their parents in a couple weeks. You may remember The More We Get Together, and I Wonder If I'm Growing, by the famous children's singer Raffi. I won't sing them for you. No Drake or Kanye in my house, just Raffi. Adam made it halfway through the second song when I almost burst into tears. And I thought to myself, get it together, Stoley, really? He's only 4. But my point is, I get it now. As a parent, it is truly fulfilling to see your child accomplish something that they've worked so hard to achieve. Adam's preschool graduation reminds me how much my life has changed since the last time I addressed the graduating class. It's hard to believe that my twins will be 2 in August. Adam is almost 5 and nice to his friends most of the time. And I did end up buying a minivan to chauffeur my kids around. Turns out it's pretty comfy and spacious. We're actually contemplating buying a second. Crazy, eh? As I reflect on these challenges in my life, changes in my life, I realize that the advice I have for you today reflects the values I'm trying to instill in my children, which include the importance of relationships and the way we treat others, the impact of our attitude on the situations we're faced with, and the fulfillment that comes from focusing on our efforts on what matters most to us. One of the things I emphasize the most with my kids is the importance of building relationships and being intentional in the way we treat each other. At the end of the day, it all comes down to the people you can rely on, who know you well enough to support and challenge you through all life's ups and downs. In fact, studies prove it. A Harvard study was developed to identify the key factors that create sustained happiness. Researchers have been following the lives of over 600 men for the past 75 years. Although participants initially thought wealth or fame would bring them happiness, those with the strongest relationships in their lives actually lived longer and had a greater quality of life. What this means for us today is that it's not about the number of followers you have on Instagram. It's about living in the moment and being truly present and appreciative of the people in our lives. And on that note, as a bit of an aside, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my Connects class. So here we go. You were energetic, loud, and sometimes even crazy. Thanks for all the fun over the past couple of years. You guys are destined for great things. Okay, now back to the speech. So since studies prove that relationships are that important, the most common advice I have for my son is the same I offer you today. Be nice. It's not a matter of being best friends with everyone you meet. It's about being respectful and careful with your words, because you never know how your words or actions will truly affect those around you. Very quickly you will learn, if you haven't already, that the paths of those you encounter are likely to cross again. Our world is truly smaller and more interconnected than we realize. Last month, as my mom was sitting in a hospital bed in Norway, being treated for pneumonia, she got chatting with one of the nurses. Apparently they have mutual friends in Outlook, Saskatchewan, which has a total population of 2,300 people. Who'd have thought? Anybody heard of Outlook, Saskatchewan? All right. You might know them too. Another point I emphasize with my kids is the importance of our attitude and being grateful, no matter what comes our way. Despite our best efforts, our lives take unexpected turns. As many of you know, one of my twins, Andrew, went to the doctor mid-December to deal with a cough that wasn't going away. He ended up being sent by ambulance to the Children's Hospital, where he was admitted to the pediatric intensive care unit. Once the toxicology results came back, it turned out that his little body was fighting three viruses, 2 bacterial infections, and a bout of pneumonia. Bottom line, he was one really sick kid. A week later, after some pretty challenging moments, he started to improve. He spent 2.5 weeks in hospital and was finally able to come home for New Year's. Not that he made it till midnight though. What I learned from this experience is that life has a way of throwing us curveballs. And when that happens, it can help to reframe your own expectations. There was a poster in the ICU that said, "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain." In other words, our attitude and perspective make a big difference in how we deal with challenging situations. When the unexpected happens, it can easily seem like storm clouds have interrupted our plans. But if there's no signs of clear skies ahead, it helps to shift our perception of the storm as an interruption and focus instead on making the best of the situation in whatever way we can. I would have not been able to cope with this difficult time without the love and support of those around me. And for that, I'm truly grateful. I'm thankful for the frozen meals, offers of childcare, and especially the science department who looked after my classes while I spent 2.5 weeks in the hospital. The last lesson I wanted to highlight, particularly as my twins get older and start to show their unique personalities, and that they are, is to focus your efforts on what matters most to you. The author and poet Frederick Buchner, who was born nearly 100 years ago, said, "Your vocation in life is where your greatest joy meets the world's greatest need." In other words, you will find the greatest fulfillment from a career path that uses your talents and passions to improve the world around you. No matter where your plans take you from here, post-secondary, work, upgrading, or taking a year away from your studies, it's important to focus your efforts on what is truly important to you. And the best place to start is with an understanding of yourself. What is it that drives you? What motivates you? What are you passionate about? That's where you will find your most energy and fulfillment, which sets you up to enjoy what you will do for the next 30 years of your life. I know this may come as a surprise to many of you who know me, but earlier this year, I was cleaning my classroom. Underneath all the piles on my desk, I found a former student's CD, which in my day was called a mixtape. I listened to it on the way home from work one day and heard Chicken Fried by the Zac Brown Band, which has since become one of my favorite country songs. I even had it playing at the start of my Connects class one day. Despite several comments that I had a very unusual taste in music, I really like the theme of the song, which reminds us that the best things in life are the simple things. The song goes, and I'll read it to you, I won't sing it for you. I'd like to see the sun rise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love. It's funny how the little things in life mean the most, not where you live, what you drive, or the price tag on your clothes. There's no dollar sign on a peace of mind. This I've come to know. So if you agree, have a drink with me. Raise your glasses for a toast to a little bit of chicken fried. The song goes on to list simple pleasures in life, which are unique to all of us. So my question for you today is, what is your chicken fried? In other words, what are the little things that mean the most to you? Adam's chicken fried is baking cookies and scones with his mom, writing his name in huge block letters, learning to read, and riding his bike after daycare. All important things when you're 4. He loves baking so much that he insists he's going to be a chef when he grows up. When I talk to him about going to a new school in the fall, where the big kids are, because there's grade 6ers there, my advice to him is the same as my final words of wisdom for you today. Be open to new adventures. It may turn out that in the next few years, or even tomorrow, Adam finds something else that he likes even better than baking, and he'll decide not to be a chef. And that's okay, though I do like his scones. The same advice applies to you. It's okay if you don't have life completely figured out. If you've ever talked to people who are 10 to 15 years into their careers, you'll probably find that the jobs they've ended up with aren't exactly what they had in mind in the beginning. Somewhere along the way, they found out that things were different than expected, or an opportunity came along that they simply couldn't turn down. Since so many people have had this experience, there's no need to feel the pressure to have it all figured out by the time you walk across the stage in a few minutes. One of Adam's favorite books right now is What Do You Do With the Chance by Kobe Yamada. It's actually sitting on the shelf in our Forest Lawn School library as well, which speaks to the strong message it has for all of us. In that book, a little boy encounters several opportunities in the form of golden butterflies, and he struggles with how to respond. After a few missed opportunities, he musters the courage to act, and I'd like to read a few lines from the book now. Maybe I don't have to be brave all the time, says the boy. Maybe I just need to be brave for a little while, at the right time. I realized it was up to me. I promised myself that if I ever got another chance, I wasn't going to hold back. I was going to be ready. I don't know how to explain it, but the second I let go of my fears, I was full of excitement. It wasn't that I was no longer afraid, but now my excitement was bigger than my fear. Perhaps this is how you're feeling now. Joy, excitement, maybe even fear as you think about what your future might hold. The world is never more full of opportunity than when you graduate from high school. Although not every door may be open for you at this time, relatively few have been closed at this moment in your life. So now is the time to be open to new adventures, and like the boy in the story, let your excitement overcome your fear. In closing, I'll leave you with one final quote from the book. But this time, I was ready. As it came by, I reached out and grabbed it, and I held on to it with all my might. So what do you do with the chance? You take it, because it just might be the start of something incredible. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Stoley. We will now take the time to introduce the first half of our graduating class. We will be calling them out in alphabetical order according to their Connects classes.
Yerlene Gonzalez Espinosa. Zach Hawking. Zainab Hijazi. Sydney Johnston. Siku Kroma. Tran Lam. Taylor Lapierre Craco. Melody Mutombo. Melitza Spirits. John Trong. Eva C. Trinity Willens.
The three things that I want to leave with you, just these three. I could do 10, I could do a whole life class. But just these three things will carry you if you let them. First and foremost, knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. Being able to answer this question, who am I? And what do I want? You know, many times when I go out of the country, I am baffled by that question. To explain what is your occupation. I've stood there for 10 minutes. Well, am I a talk show host? Well, I'm more than a talk show host. Am I a businesswoman? I'm a businesswoman. I'm more than a businesswoman. Am I an entrepreneur? I'm more than an entrepreneur. So I just leave it blank or self-employed. So I'm not asking for the roles that you play as daughters. I'm not asking that question. What are the roles that you play as a daughter, as a friend, as a sister? You're going to be a lawyer, you're going to teach, you're going to be a pharmacist. I'm asking the bigger question of who am I? Who am I really? My answer is I am God's child. I am that which is born of all that is. I am, as Pierre de Chardin said, a spiritual being having a human experience, come trailing the breath of the ancestors yet, but trailing the breath of the angels, and understanding that because I am connected to the source of all that is possible for me. That's who I am. And what do I want? I don't want to just be successful in the world. I don't want to just make a mark or have a legacy. The answer to that question for me is I want to fulfill the highest, truest expression of myself as a human being. I want to fulfill the promise that the Creator dreamed when He dreamed the cells that made up me. What do I want? You must have some kind of vision for your life. Even if you don't know the plan, you have to have a direction in which you choose to go. I never was the kind of woman who liked to get in a car and just go for a ride. I had a boyfriend who would say, let's just go for a ride. I want to know, where are we going? Do we have a destination? Is there a plan? Or are we just riding? What I've learned is that's a great metaphor for life. You want to be in the driver's seat of your own life, because if you're not, life will drive you. So, knowing who you really are in this space and time that we embody, that's number one. What do you want? Who are you? Number two, you must find a way to serve. Martin Luther King said that not everybody can be famous, but everybody can be great, because greatness is determined by service. Now, we live in a world where everybody wants to be famous and where we admire people for just being famous. We think being known brings us value. The truth is, all of that will fade in time. In 3 years, you won't be able to name the housewives of Atlanta. The real truth is that service and significance, service and the significance that you bring to your service is that which is lasting. So to be able to, whatever your occupation or job or talent or gift is, our honorees today getting doctorate degrees, to apparently opposite fields, HIV and AIDS and the spoken word. But what they have in common is service, using the spoken word in service to community and the world, using your knowledge and information about HIV and AIDS and medicine in service to the world. And if you look at all the most successful people in the world, whether they know it or not, they have that paradigm of service. Everybody's talking about Mark Zuckerberg and I.
Yes. Why didn't we get the hat before?
So let me purchase one.
Oh, how much?